When Margaret Thompson turned 74, she thought her days of independence were numbered. After a mild stroke, her daughter, Rachel, began gently suggesting that a nursing home might be the best option. Margaret, a retired teacher from Ohio with a love for gardening and crossword puzzles, didn't protest outwardly. But inside she dreaded the idea. She had visited her late sister in a nursing facility once. Though clean and orderly, it lacked warmth. No flowers in windows, no pets allowed, and meals that tasted like cardboard. It didn't feel like a home. It felt like a holding station for the final chapters of life. One night, while sipping chamomile tea, Margaret sat with her laptop and began researching alternatives. She was surprised, no, shocked at what she found. There were so many choices beyond traditional nursing homes, and most people didn't even know about them. What began as a personal quest became a mission. Margaret would explore every viable option, not just for herself but to educate others like her. Her journey began with co-housing, an idea introduced by her old college friend Linda. They had reconnected on Facebook after decades. Linda, who lived in Oregon, had recently moved into a senior co-housing community called Sunrise Grove. "Think of it like a neighborhood where everyone helps each other out," Linda explained during a video call. "We each have our own home, but we share a common house for meals, activities, and even chores if we want." Margaret flew to visit. What she found blew her away. Residents in their 60s, 70s, and 80s were tending gardens, planning potlucks, and organizing book clubs. It was the polar opposite of institutional care. It was vibrant. Back in Ohio, Margaret looked into accessory dwelling units, or ADUs, commonly called granny flats. These were small, private living spaces built on a family member's property. Rachel, her daughter, had a large backyard and an open mind. "It would let you have your privacy, but you'd still be near us," Rachel offered. "We could build a small cottage. You'd have your own kitchen, bedroom, even a porch for your plants." Margaret loved the idea. But before committing, she kept researching. She stumbled across senior home sharing, where 2 or more older adults shared a house. Sometimes it involved trading reduced rent for chores or companionship. Margaret met Helen through a local community board. They clicked instantly. Both former educators, both widows, both with a dry sense of humor. "It's like Golden Girls, but with heating pads and joint supplements," Helen joked. They agreed to try living together for a month. It worked so well that Margaret postponed the granny flat idea. They created their own mini-community, complete with routines, boundaries, and shared meals. But not everyone wanted to live with others. Margaret's friend Joe, a former firefighter, was fiercely independent. He discovered a newer concept called naturally occurring retirement communities, or NORCs. These were neighborhoods where large numbers of seniors lived without planning to do so, essentially aging in place together. Joe's apartment building in Pittsburgh had a growing number of elderly residents. The city partnered with a nonprofit to provide on-site nurses, social workers, and community activities, without anyone having to move. "Best part," Joe told Margaret during one of their weekly calls, "I didn't have to pack a single box. Help came to me." Next, Margaret looked into senior villages, grassroots networks where neighbors helped neighbors. For a small yearly fee, members got access to transportation services, home repair referrals, tech help, and even dog walkers. She joined Buckeye Village, her local chapter. Within a week, she had a volunteer drive her to the library, a teenager help fix her internet, and a retired chef offer cooking lessons. One day, while waiting at the farmer's market, Margaret met Thomas, a quiet man in his 80s. They struck up a conversation about beets, of all things, and ended up talking for hours. Thomas lived in an independent living community, which was more like a retirement resort. Private apartments, full-time staff, fitness centers, and game nights, without the medical emphasis of a nursing home. "You get your own space," Thomas said, "but help is nearby if you need it. Plus, someone else shovels the snow." Margaret visited his place the following weekend. The atmosphere was warm, and laughter echoed in the halls. She started to wonder if maybe this would be her final choice, until she found out about tiny home communities. These were clusters of small, energy-efficient homes designed with seniors in mind. Often located in nature-friendly settings, they offered minimal upkeep and maximum peace. Margaret explored one in Asheville, North Carolina. The people were kind, the air smelled like pine and lavender, and the views were breathtaking. "I could do this," she whispered, touching the wooden railing of the porch. "This could be home." But before making a final decision, Margaret got a call from her cousin Steve. His wife had recently passed, and he was living in a continuing care retirement community, CCRC. A one-stop shop offering independent living, assisted living, and nursing care all in one campus. "What's great," Steve said, "is that you can move in while you're still active. But if your health changes, you don't have to move far." That security appealed to Margaret. She toured a CCRC just outside Columbus. It was impressive. Beautiful apartments, multiple dining areas, even art studios and fitness centers. But something felt too polished, too structured. It reminded her of a cruise ship that never docked. Margaret went home and made a list of what mattered most: independence, community, nature, safety, and the ability to keep her dog, Ginger. She realized her favorite experience so far had been the one with Helen, in their shared home. They had created routines: breakfast on the porch, puzzles after dinner, rotating grocery duty. They weren't just roommates, they had become chosen family. After months of exploring, Margaret finally made her decision. She would continue living with Helen. They agreed to make their arrangement official, and would even renovate the guest room into a full suite in case a third friend wanted to join in the future. "I never thought aging could look like this," Margaret said during a podcast interview she was invited to after sharing her story in a community newsletter. "But there are so many beautiful, dignified ways to live that don't involve giving up your soul in a nursing home." Her podcast went viral among senior groups, caregivers, and even younger generations planning for their parents. People began to reach out with their own stories, some building ADUs, others forming senior villages from scratch. The ripple effect was profound. Local officials began hosting expos to showcase alternative senior living models. High schools offered volunteer credits for students who helped seniors set up technology, join social networks, or even just read books together. Margaret, once reluctant to even Google nursing homes, had become a silent revolution's unexpected face. One sunny Sunday, as she sipped iced tea with Helen on the patio, she looked out at the blooming tulips and the wind chimes dancing in the breeze. "We did it," she whispered. Helen smiled. "And we didn't even need bingo nights or plastic trays." The two women clinked glasses. Aging wasn't the end. It was just a different kind of beginning, one filled with choices, color, freedom, and friendships.